Okay, so AI-generated music. It's absolutely everywhere right now, isn't it? Constantly changing the soundscape.
It really is. Feels like every week there's something new, some viral track made by an algorithm.
Totally. But while all this cool stuff is happening on the surface,
Yeah,
there's this huge legal storm brewing underneath.
that's right. While we're all listening, the legal world is really grappling with, you know, ownership, creative rights, all the big questions.
And right at the center of it are these AI music generators. We're seeing more and more legal challenges, especially these recent class action lawsuits.
Yes, specifically against Suno and Udio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not the major labels this time. Well, not only them. It's independent artists taking a stand.
Mm-hmm.
So today, our mission is really to unpack these lawsuits. What are the arguments? What does it mean for artists, especially the indies? We want to help you cut through the noise and get to what's really going on.
It's a really pivotal moment, I think. These cases, they shine a light on how vulnerable independent artists can be in all this tech shift. It's their fight we're seeing.
So who are these artists? The ones brave enough to take on Suno and Udio?
Well, the lead plaintiff has a fascinating story, Tony Justice.
Right, the independent country musician, who's also a full-time truck driver.
That's him.
Yeah.
He and his label, Fifth Wheel Records.
And he's not just, some unknown artist.
Oh, not at all. He's actually credited with creating a whole genre, trucker music.
Wow.
And his reach is pretty impressive for an indie artist. Sold over 100,000 albums.
100,000. That's significant.
Yeah, and his track Last of the Cowboys, that's got over 8 million Spotify streams.
8 million.
Plus, over 54,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, big YouTube presence too, 28,000 subscribers, 21 million views. He's built a real career.
When you hear numbers like that, it really puts a human face on this, doesn't it? It shows the power of independent artists.
It absolutely does. It shows they're not just hobbyists. They're real businesses, contributors to the whole music economy.
So his lawsuit is a big deal.
It is. He filed class action suits against both Suno, that one's in Massachusetts, and Udio in New York. That was June 19th, 2025.
And it's class action, so it's not just him.
Exactly. It's about potentially thousands of independent artists who might feel overlooked otherwise.
Now, the major labels, they have their own lawsuits going on, right?
Yeah.
Since June 2024.
That's correct. And interestingly, the AI companies, Suno and Udio, they actually admitted back in August 2024 that they trained their models on the major labels' recordings.
Okay, so they admitted that. But Justice's lawsuits, they seem to make a point about the independent artists being left out.
Yes, that's a crucial argument. The complaints basically say that while the majors are negotiating, independent artists whose rights have been trampled the most are, and I'm quoting here, excluded from the table, unrepresented, and without a meaningful remedy.
Why are they uniquely vulnerable, do you think, compared to a major label?
Well, it really comes down to resources, doesn't it?
Right.
Major labels have huge legal teams, bargaining power. Indies often don't have that kind of clout or, frankly, the money for drawn-out legal fights.
So they're fighting for their survival, in a way?
You could say that. Fighting for their agency, their ability to keep creating. So the core allegation, the main accusation in these lawsuits is pretty blunt.
What is it?
That Suno and Udio use recordings and musical works from thousands of class members, these independent artists, without getting any authorization, any permission to train their AI models.
Just took them.
That's the claim. The lawsuits quote Justice's legal team saying, rather than simply license these copyrighted songs like every other tech-based business does, Sunudio elected to simply steal the songs.
Wow, steal the songs. That's strong language.
And generate AI sound-alike music at virtually no cost to Sunudio. It highlights how the plaintiffs see this not as some technical oversight, but as deliberate, unauthorized use.
So what have Suno and Udio actually said about this? You mentioned they admitted using major label stuff.
Right. While Udio has said its AI is trained using publicly available sources.
Okay, publicly available. What does that even mean in this context?
That's part of the debate, isn't it? And Suno, in their defense against the major labels, they were even more direct. They openly and unapologetically admitted to scraping and duplicating tens of millions of publicly available songs.
Yeah.
Tens of millions. Suno stated their training data includes, and this is another quote, essentially all music files of reasonable quality that are accessible on the open internet, as long as they respected paywalls, passwords, things like that, plus related text descriptions.
Essentially all music files.
Yeah.
That scale is just mind-boggling. It sounds like they just vacuumed up everything they could find.
That's certainly the picture the lawsuits paint.
And these aren't just research projects. Suno and Udio are businesses, right? making money from this.
Oh, absolutely. They are commercial operations. Udio charges, what, up to $24 a month? And it's estimated to generate something like 10 tracks per second.
Per second. That's over 6 million songs a week.
Exactly. And they've secured $10 million from investors. Big numbers for a company allegedly built on unlicensed data.
And Suno. Similar story.
Similar, perhaps even bigger scale. They charge up to $30 a month, claim over 10 million users, and their valuation is reportedly around $500 million.
$500 million. With that kind of money involved, you have to ask, why didn't they just license the music from the start?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or perhaps the $500 million question, especially because both platforms let users, free and paid, use the generated music commercially.
Right. Free users just have to credit the AI.
Which directly sets up potential competition with the original artists whose work might have been used for training. That commercial aspect is key.
Okay, so they admit using the data, argue it's publicly available, but the artists say it's theft. This sounds like it's heading straight for a fight over fair use.
Exactly. That's the core legal battleground here, fair use. It's one of the most complex areas of copyright law, 17 U.S.C. Section 107 if you want the statute.
Right. The idea that you can use copyrighted material without a license under certain limited circumstances.
Correct. And both Suno and Udio are basically saying what we did counts as fair use.
But the artists disagree. Strongly.
Very strongly. And they have some significant backing here, specifically from the U.S. Copyright Office.
Oh, really? How so?
Justice's lawsuits lean heavily on a May 2025 report from the Copyright Office. It was titled Copyright and Artificial Intelligence Part 3, Generative AI Training.
Okay, and what did that report say?
Crucially, it emphasized that fair use doesn't necessarily excuse training AI on creative works, like music, especially if the AI is then used to create stuff that competes with or replaces the original music in the marketplace.
So the government office responsible for copyright is basically saying, hold on, just because it's AI training doesn't automatically make it fair use.
Pretty much, particularly when the output is substitutional. That word is important. Is the AI music a substitute for human-made music?
That really challenges the whole transformative use idea, doesn't it? Is it truly transforming it or just replicating it in a new way that hurts the original creator?
That's the heart of the debate. And the Copyright Office report went further. It suggested the training process itself might be infringement.
Just the training, before it even generates a song.
Yes, because training involves, according to the report, multiple reproduction acts. Think about it. Downloading the song file, maybe transferring it, converting formats, making copies for the AI model, temporary copies during the actual training.
So each step could potentially be an infringing copy.
That's the argument. It could be prima facie copyright infringement, meaning on its face it looks like infringement. It's like taking that first step across the property line even before you build something with the materials you took.
And this idea that the original songs get sort of baked into the AI, stored in the neural network, and you can't get them out.
That's another really unsettling point raised in the lawsuits. If the AI can then produce look-alike tracks or even near-exact replicas, that suggests the original songs aren't just learned from, they're effectively stored within the model, and they can't be deleted or retracted.
Which makes the fair use argument even harder for the AI companies, I imagine.
Definitely. The lawsuits use this to argue against fair use, breaking it down using the standard 4 factors, just like the Copyright Office report analyzed.
Okay, let's quickly walk through those 4 factors for you listening. First, the purpose and character of the use.
Right. The argument here is Suno and Udio copied the music for commercial profit.
Not for education or parody or criticism.
Exactly. And they created competing products. The lawsuit argues this is hard to see as transformative. It looks more like substitution, which weighs against fair use.
Makes sense. Second factor, the nature of the copyrighted work.
These are songs, creative expressions meant for the public. They're right at the core of what copyright is designed to protect.
Not just facts or data.
Correct. So using highly creative works weighs against fair use too. It's harder to justify copying a song than, say, a list of facts.
Got it. Third, the amount and substantiality of the portion used.
Here, the lawsuits allege wholesale copying. Not just a little snippet, but potentially entire songs, or at least their most important recognizable parts.
Which you can tell if the AI spits out something that sounds very similar.
Precisely. If it's mimicking key elements, that suggests a substantial amount was copied, weighing against fair use.
And the fourth factor, which feels really crucial here, the effect on the potential market for the original work.
Absolutely critical. The argument is simple. This unauthorized AI use directly harms the market for the original songs. It competes with them.
It potentially replaces the need to license the original song, right?
Exactly. The Copyright Office report specifically said that using copyrighted works to make substitutes is directly harmful to the relevant marketplace. This factor, the market harm, weighs heavily against fair use.
And didn't you say the Copyright Office report highlighted specific factors?
Yes, it stressed that the first factor, purpose, and character, and this fourth factor, market effect, are particularly significant when looking at generative AI training.
So the very office overseeing copyright seems to be signaling that these 2 points are major hurdles for the AI company's fair use defense.
That's certainly how the plaintiffs are interpreting it, and it seems like a reasonable reading.
This goes way beyond just legal theory then. It hits the structure of the music business, how artists get paid.
It really does. That argument about irreversible ingestion, that the music is permanently stuck inside the AI.
Yeah, that's still kind of freaking me out.
Well, the lawsuits frame it as an abuse and exploitation of intellectual property. If you can't remove the data, have you essentially captured it forever without consent?
And for indie artists who rely on every single stream, every license fee,
It's a direct threat. The lawsuits argue these AI platforms undermine the existing streams of revenue. Think about licensing for films or ads, streaming royalties.
all those things that make up an artist's income?
Exactly. Spotify alone paid out, what, $10 billion in royalties last year? A huge chunk of that went to independent artists and labels. The AI models are allegedly tapping into the source material for that market without paying into it.
Which seems odd because, as the lawsuits point out, there are ways to license music, right? Systems exist.
They do. Established avenues exist. And the lawsuits emphasize that deciding whether to license your music to an AI should be a creator's choice.
A deeply personal one, I think the quote was. Not something forced on you.
Precisely. And this isn't just happening in the US. Suno is facing a similar copyright suit in Germany.
Filed by GEMA, the German Collection Society.
Yeah, back in January 2025, so it's definitely a global issue.
And even the major labels, who have their own lawsuits, are apparently talking about license fees and even taking equity stakes in these AI firms.
Which suggests that even the big players see licensing ultimately as the path forward. It begs the question again, why wasn't that the approach from the start?
So what are Tony Justice and the other independent artists actually asking for in these lawsuits?
They want two main things. First, permanent injunctions, basically. Court orders stopping Suno and Udio from using their copyrighted works without permission in the future.
Stop the alleged infringement.
Yes. And second, money. Statutory damages, which could be up to $150,000 per infringed work.
Per song. Given they allegedly use millions,
Yeah.
that could be astronomical.
Potentially, yes. It reflects the scale of the alleged copying and the seriousness of the claim.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, we're really seeing this fundamental clash, aren't we? The excitement around AI music innovation running right up against the rights, the livelihoods of human creators.
It's a huge collision, and these lawsuits by independent artists like Tony Justice against Suno and Udio, they're forcing really critical questions onto the table.
Questions about fair use in the digital age, what intellectual property even means when an AI learns it, and fundamentally how we ensure artists are fairly compensated.
It's incredibly complex, legally and ethically. The outcomes here won't just affect these companies or artists, they'll likely shape the whole creative landscape for years, maybe decades.
So, as AI keeps weaving itself into our lives, into the music we listen to, it puts us, the listeners, you, right at a crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
What does fair compensation truly mean in a world with AI composers? And maybe more importantly, how will the choices we make, what we choose to listen to, how we support artists, whether we demand transparency, how will that shape the future of music itself? Who gets to create and who gets paid?
That's the question to carry forward, I think. How do we balance innovation with fairness? It's something we'll all have a hand in deciding.